Good morning, welcome to a morning outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday the 14th. So away from the markets yesterday, back today. So I'm going to run through looking at the risk events. Firstly this morning, actually before I do that, just looking at the yields, treasury yields. These are starting to edge up. They've been down a little bit. I noticed yesterday. Let's just have a look at them over the last month just to get a better picture. There we go. So coming off yesterday, just getting a little bit more of a bounce again today. When these go up high, generally we see the dollar strengthen and vice versa. So it sort of softens a little bit. So that's the rough rule of thumb on the treasury yields. Now let's have a look. At the news events, the risk events today. We've already seen the Australian data coming out there. The employment change in the month, not necessarily where they want to be, but actually unemployment rates down to 4.6. Now this has got to be pre-COVID levels. This is really quite low, so it does put sort of pressure on eventually to on the employment market. And wages, obviously not quite so much this month, but that again, we've seen lockdowns occurring in different parts of Australia. Right, so this afternoon we got inflation, PPI, Producers Price Index. Again, this may just create a bit more volatility through the US. In particular, US session, I should say, that's coming in at 1:30, and crude oil inventories later on. Again, with the focus on oil, quite a key number to come out later. So be aware. Okay, let's look at the technicals here. Starting off looking at the euro. So yesterday, quite a reversal, but looking bar in there. It's closed above my daily trend that I've got on here. It does look like, I'm looking at it, I was looking at these markets on a 4-hourly, and I said earlier in the week that there's signs of them at times wanting to take a bit of a change round. Well, we're seeing it definitely in yesterday. Quite a clear higher low that just go down to the hourly. There we go. So the higher low coming through there, confirmed, and quite a strong move to now. Now it doesn't mean to say this euro's all done and that it's going to keep on pushing up, but there might be a little bit more in the tank. But slowing up where it is on the, sorry, just go back to that hourly, slowing up where it is there, a bit of divergence over the highs here, bit of a strange old move, lower high, just coming in a little bit amongst that on the 60 minutes, just a bit of weakness for sure. Now we have got an untouched daily pivot below. If this starts failing, that could be targeted, and we'll see what comes from that. My overall picture still is quite bearish on the euro, but I did expect a bit of a counter trade at times, and this could be one of them. I mean, it's the most solid and biggest day it's had for a long time. For the upside, yes, we've had some sell-off days, but yeah, quite a buying day yesterday. The pound. So technically here the pound has been sitting there very consolidated, holding up better than, the euro's obviously been selling and selling. The pound's held up better, even though it's getting all the sort of the bad press and everything else that's sort of running with it. It's holding up. God knows what would happen if it had some good press then. But solid day yesterday, pushing up again this morning. It's just holding up that bit better, but it's very choppy. It's difficult to read some of the time when you're trying to day trade it, swing trading it. Well, at the moment it's still hanging in there, slightly positive. Sentiment wise, the money on all these currencies, euro, pound, etc., is all quite negative, and it's dollar bullish. But technically at the moment we're seeing these higher lows coming through, same sort of action there, and we're seeing this sort of push up. Again this morning a little bit stronger, certainly stronger than what the euro looks like. Dollar yen, I haven't got specific trading prices for those because they've moved up so much, by the way, and this is another one. You sort of you're looking at it this morning, say this morning, over the last couple of days there, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's run into its monthly R2 levels, finding resistance there. Bit of divergence over the highs there, just marginal divergence sort of sitting in there. For me, it's not really done too much more than put the divergence in. It could just consolidate around this area and continue to the upside. It is, whilst the others have been looking quite soft, this has still obviously still been, well, flat to uppish a week. So yeah, I'm just looking at it at the moment, and if anything, I wouldn't be surprised if it just continued to the upside at some point. So that's the yen. Aussie dollar, I wouldn't want to be trading it necessarily low. Aussie dollar is one that I just think is more bullish. I think there's so many people short on it that it's probably one of those that has got some potential. That said, well, overnight the numbers didn't really brighten the market up too much, but we have seen this sort of bullish engulfing candles and continuation. It does look quite solid, but it just having moved so far, actually it doesn't look quite so far when you put it on here. Most of that the best move was into yesterday, as we saw for the other markets, but it's looking okay. There is a bit of divergence kicking across there. Actually it's a bit more akin to the euro in terms of its pattern there, but overall one of the stronger markets. Talking of which, is the Canadian dollar. Been working quite well, continuing in strength against the US dollar. I particularly like this. I mean, it's been selling off pretty well, and it's, well, continue to do so. I'm just looking down the time frames. It really is shooting off this morning. Now when you take the Canadian dollar, and I'll just do a cross pair here, I've been in this EUROCAD for quite a few days now, and it's I mean, it had a pop up yesterday, but its general picture is quite strong to the downside, and it's just rolling back a little bit now again to the downside there. So near enough, well, it's been over 200 pips up since I originally started getting into the trade, and it's one of those quite clean ones. Yes, on the shorter time frames here, 60 minutes higher lows in there yesterday, but it's failed again this morning, and it's just to me it's got potential for a continuation to the downside. Okay, euro yen, I often look at that. Let's just have a quick look. So looking at the euro yen, I wanted. Let's get that. Sorry, just had to stop the mic a moment. I had a bit of a cough there. Euro yen. Well, let's continue it. So it's moved to the upside, and it's quite clean. A bit bittier at times though. It's just choppy. I mean, it's been sitting in a bit more choppiness, but to me, it often offers a decent move. Just maybe not in that zone at the moment, but consolidation is often followed by a decent move. This has got a bit of divergence sitting in there at the moment. Oh, sorry, morning. Bad press. Well, the bad press has been downgrading by some of the banks. I say downgrading, but suggestion by some of the banks, Bank of America, etc., that the pound is going to be quite weak, etc. Good morning. Okay, I'll talk about that later. Bitcoin, right? I'll come on to that. Okay, sorry, I'm just reading questions. So many of them. Right, we'll look. The yen. Remember, it's a dollar yen, so it's actually a dollar that's pushing up. So it's the yen that's actually getting weaker when that's happening. When I refer to that. Right, sorry. Let's get on then. So euro yen divergence looks a bit soft at the moment. Has got a daily pivot below that might just drag it down there. Right. Let's move across gold. So gold, solid old day yesterday. I mean, we've seen this right the way through. Whoops, the market's there consolidating at the moment. I wasn't too bullish on this. I'm sort of been sitting there sitting on the edge really on this. I mean, yesterday was just one of those days, typical when I'm not there. It's had a decent move, but I'm just looking at this, and really coming back to the higher time frames. Yes, higher lows coming through. Maybe it's got some more upside on gold as we run through, and if you're looking at it, I'm just looking back at those prior highs here, and that might become a half decent target around the 1828 area if you can get in, but you just need to get into a good entry. So it is looking better. Oil. Remember, we've got the oil data coming out later. Be careful. I tend to trade this in the afternoons more so. It's still pushing up half decent. Let me just come back out to daily. But a couple of doji days, but a bit slow, but pushing up this morning. High lows coming through. Very bitty sort of days, and I was just looking at yesterday. It just sort of went for the later afternoon. I personally, I like to, if I'm looking to day trade it or get into any sort of trades, I'm normally looking in the afternoon. After 2 o'clock you get much more volume coming through and cleaner moves often, and well, it started off at 3 there. Very messy. Only looking on the long side at the moment, so if it doesn't give me a long side trigger, I'm not looking. I'm not looking for these short sell-off spiky movements. At the moment, well, nothing really set up. It's sort of horizontal resistance sitting around the 81 area. I think later on I'll have another look at it. It's erring on the bullish side. I generally look at simple trend lines, etc., to get into it, but yeah, nothing immediate for me there, but still a bullish bias. Right, let's have a look then across the markets. Let's just bring in my... Let's have a look at the indices here to see what's happened. Hong Kong market, ooh, there we go. Still consolidating there. It's really quite tight now. I'm just waiting and thinking, well, at some stage it's going to drop down through this trend line I've got there, but for now just consolidating. Nikkei, its relationship to the yen, I don't really look at too much, to be fair, because I'm not really trading the Nikkei. It's out of my trading range time frames. I stick with the S&Ps and that's it. I'm not even bothered with the FTSE, the CAC personally. I think if you're trying to look at too many markets, you become a little bit blinded. I mean, there is a good correlation across a lot of markets, but looking at too many markets and you'll just never become master of any of them. You just become, as I say, a jack of all trades, master of none. I'm looking at this Nikkei at the moment. It's catching a bit of a bounce. It's not doing too bad at all. How it will be affected by Evergrande, etc., we'll have to wait and see, but it has really taken quite a kick in of late. What time is it? 8:03. Quick look at the FTSE then. FTSE's pushing up stronger this morning, so had a couple of days hanging in around that area, and equity market certainly looks a bit better than it did when I looked at it a couple of days ago. Nasdaq also, the DAX rather, higher low confirmed amongst this, looking a little bit more bullish now than it did a couple of days ago, and likewise with the CAC there. So there's this all bias coming through across there, much more positive than it has been. I'm looking at S&Ps. I tend to look at this market more than the others because it's just easy to focus on one than trying to focus on them all, and often they're quite correlated, so you may as well take the cleaner one, whether it be your favourite, the S&Ps, or the Dow, or whatever it may be. For me, this is a little bit behind the curve there. We haven't put higher lows in, and I'm sort of just a bit wary on the S&P. Still iffy sort of upside at the moment on these US markets. Just not. I mean, they're doing the right things here in terms of starting to turn around. I'm just looking at all three of them, same sort of picture across them. They're very correlated, so they're all doing the right sort of things, but still in a downtrend. And to me, the risk is they could still roll over. We could be putting trend lines on the lows here. We should probably be putting trend lines on the lows here, waiting for the breakdowns. But to me, there is a risk that they could still roll further. It doesn't mean say they will, but it just looks they look soft to me. Okay, let's just quick look then at crypto. Bitcoin Well, Bitcoin running into it yesterday, running up there, just short of the, well, quite a bit shorter actually when I'm looking at it on a daily basis, dragging a bit more to sit in the picture there, quite a bit short, but still, as I said a couple of days ago, really just need a bit of consolidation when you start pushing up like this, and we've now seen that consolidation and a push up. It's good for the market. It means it's got some potential further upside. Ethereum the same as well, could be a consolidation. It's struggled a little bit more. It's working quite well, and Ripple just not getting there the same. It's struggling. It's the softer one. So if you Bitcoin, Ethereum, certainly got the better opportunities, and Cardano, I mean, well, that's just sitting, consolidate. It's not doing anything. It's probably wouldn't even be on my list at the moment. It's such a widely traded and held currency or coin. Okay, that's it for me today. I wish you all a great day. I'm going to call it a day here, and I'll speak to you in the morning. Bye for now.